I was recently on a call where I had a salesperson that was trying to sell me something. And I will give him a lot of credit because before trying to sell me on the product, he was really taking me through a process where he asked a lot of questions to learn more about me. And I think that's great. There are not enough salespeople that do that. Although the questions that he asked, there was tremendous room for improvement. And I'm not going to talk about all the different questions he asked, but there was one question in particular that I think we can learn from. And one of the questions he asked me was, tell me what a typical day for you looks like. So in this video, I want to talk about why this was not a great question and what this salesperson could have asked instead. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, I don't need to watch this video because I don't ask this question. But it's not really this exact question that I want to talk about. It's really a type of question. And there are a lot of salespeople that ask this type of question. And to expand on what I'm talking about here, let me show you some other examples of this type of question. What keeps you up at night? What is your biggest challenge? How is everything going? These are very common questions that salespeople ask to try to find pain. And that's definitely a step in the right direction. But this type of question is flawed for a few reasons. The problem with these questions is that they're too broad. For example, that salesperson that asked me to describe my day, he sells accounting software. And when he asks me to describe a typical day, he's thinking or he's hoping that I'm going to describe my day and describe accounting-related tasks or accounting-related challenges. And that is where all of these questions fail, is that they're too broad. And they give room for the prospect to talk about other areas that your product or service have nothing to do with. And because these questions are so broad and could go in many different directions, it's unpredictable how the prospect might answer. And that puts the salesperson in a much weaker position. If the salesperson is wanting to talk about accounting challenges and they ask one of these questions, it's likely that the prospect could answer with challenges in the area of operations or human resources or recruiting or sales and marketing. And not only does that not take the conversation in a direction where the product the salesperson wants to sell can help, but it also takes the conversation in a direction where the salesperson probably does not have much expertise. If the accounting software salesperson asks this and I start talking about staffing and labor, that salesperson is in a much weaker position with knowing what to say next. And because the prospect's answer could go in a direction that has nothing to do with the product the salesperson is trying to sell, these are very unproductive questions to ask. If you only have a few minutes to talk with a prospect, whether you're on a cold call or in an appointment, and you get the prospect talking about an area where you cannot help and do not have any expertise, you are wasting that valuable time that you have with that prospect. And that makes these questions not efficient. You want to get the most out of your calls and out of your meetings. So you want your questions and your questioning to be extremely efficient at getting to the key information that you're trying to uncover. So here I am sharing the problem with all of these questions. And I'm not just going to share with you in this video what's wrong. I'm also going to show you how to fix that. And that is to come up with a list of questions that are less broad, more efficient, more productive, and drive the conversation towards problems that your product or service can solve. And the way to come up with that list of questions is to go back to the pain points that your product or service can solve. And it's very simple. If you have a list of pain points, for each pain point, you can then compose a question or two, and those will be much better than the broad question of what challenges are you having. Now, I'm actually going to show you how this works by creating questions for the salesperson that I was talking to. And he was trying to sell me an upgrade to a web-based version, an online version of the accounting software that I'm already using. I'm already using the desktop version that's just installed on my laptop. And he was trying to sell me on moving to the web-based version. So I'm going to show you what questions he should have asked instead of asking me to describe what a typical day looks like. Now, I actually don't know right offhand the exact pain points that his web version solves. So what I can do here is I can actually take a step back to a previous step, and that is to brainstorm the benefits that your product or service can deliver, because I can think of the benefits that the online version has to offer me. And sometimes it's a little easier to think of benefits. Sometimes it's a little easier to think of pain points. So I'm going to start here to show you what this looks like with the improvements that I can realize by moving from the desktop version to the online version. And if I do that, I'll be able to access my accounting software from any device. And I'm always going through a process of backing up my accounting software and storing that file on a backup hard drive. And if I move to the web version, I don't have to worry about backing up and losing data. It will be also much easier with the online version for me to share the accounting data with my CPA and other employees in my company. And with the online version, I don't ever have to update the version of my accounting software or deal with bugs that come up. So these are 4 key improvements that I can realize by making this change. Now what we can do is we can use those improvements to create an opposite set of problems, because for each improvement there's an opposite problem that I either might be experiencing already or that could potentially happen. So what we can do is we can look at each of these and come up with an opposite set of pain points. So with the online version, I can access it from any device. With the desktop version, I can only access it from my main laptop. And if something happens to my laptop, if I lose my laptop or my hard drive crashes, I can lose all my accounting data. And it's much more difficult with the current version for me to share my data with other people. And I'm always having to install updates and install patches, and sometimes there are some bugs. So here we have 4 really good pain points. And what the salesperson wants to do in order to identify if I need or can benefit from upgrading to the online version, he needs to identify if I have these pain points, and also if he wants to persuade me and motivate me to upgrade and build interest on my side for purchasing the upgrade. He wants to make me more aware of these problems. So it's really helpful to have this list of pain points. And once we have this list of pain points, we can use that to come up with a list of pain questions to ask. So for each of these, there's a question to ask. Have you ever needed access data from other computers? How concerned are you about losing data, or how much of a headache is it to back up your accounting data? How often do you need to share data with other people? How much does it bother you to have to upgrade the software, purchase upgrades, and deal with bugs from time to time? So here we have 4 much more effective and efficient questions to ask. And if we compare those with the other broad questions, hopefully you can see how these questions will be much more productive and keep the conversation laser focused on the area where you can help, and help you to identify if or how the prospect needs the product or service that you have to sell. Now those 3 steps that we went through, those are actually 3 of the 6 steps of our sales message brainstorming process. So there's actually a full process that starts with the product that you sell, and then identify who you're communicating with in terms of the target audience. By the way, notice this, we came up with benefits, pain points, and questions. Those are only for an existing customer that you're trying to sell an upgrade to. If we're trying to come up with questions to a potentially new customer, the benefits and the pain points and the questions would be totally different. And that's an example of how the target audience in step 2 will lead you to creating a completely different sales message. Now, when you go through each of these steps will help you to create what we refer to as building blocks. So this will help you to create a set of value points, pain questions, and you can then mix and match those building blocks to create a variety of different scripts. You can use those to create a cold call script, create your appointment script, create an email campaign, create voicemail messages, objection responses, and a lot more. And that process of going through those steps to create those blocks and mixing and matching those blocks to create a lot of different documents is actually how our software of Sales Scripter works. There's an area here called the Sales Message Builder, and the Sales Message Builder basically takes you through that step-by-step process to create all of those talking points. By the way, we also are now integrated with AI and ChatGPT so that you can either go through these steps and create the key talking points for yourself, or you can also get help from ChatGPT to create your content. But once you have your sales message, then there's a sales playbook, which is a library of documents. And these are those different versions of those documents that mix and match those building blocks to create a whole variety of cold call scripts, appointment scripts, and more. So here's our interactive script, and over here are the different blocks. So you have your value points block, pain questions, current state questions. These are all those building blocks being created and then displayed for you as a sales script for you to use when you're cold calling or meeting with prospects. So hopefully that gets you going in the right direction of asking the most optimum questions when talking with prospects. If you want more information or more help, the best place to go is salesscripter.com. Thanks for being here. Hope this was helpful, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.